Welcome back to another HTML5 basics video where I teach you the basics of HTML5, and in this video we're going to talk about images. So images have become a major part of the internet and website design because our download speeds have gotten a lot faster, so we're able to actually use larger images and images that are more significant to the design of the website. So that's why you've seen kind of an explosion of large images, especially in web design over the last several years. Images are easy to place, they always have been, and it's just a matter of delivering larger, higher quality images that's been the case. That's been the holdup on images for a long time. So all types of images are supported. The most common types are JPEG, GIF, and PNG. So these are the three main types. JPEG images are typically your regular photographs, and images that have gradients or they have more complex color structures and things like that. GIFs usually have been used for line drawings and animated. You can usually see an animated GIF where it's like a kind of a small animation. And then a PNG image is kind of a special format. It's a little bit larger file size than a JPEG. But what a PNG image does is if you have an image, a square image that maybe has a round circle in it, and then outside of that circle you want the background to be transparent, or maybe you have a logo and you don't want the background to show through on the logo. You want it to be transparent so that whatever you put the logo on top of shows through underneath. And then you need to use a PNG, because a PNG supports the alpha channel, which is that's the transparency channel for an image. So a PNG is what you're going to use typically for logos and things like that you want to be able to put over top of something else and have the background show through. So those are the major image file categories. And so let's look at the HTML structure of the image tag, and then I'm also going to show you how to do the image as a link so that when you click on the image it goes to something else. So first, the image tag looks like this, and that's it. There is no opening and closing, there's only the tag itself. So it's IMG for image, and then as you can see no image shows up. So what we need to do is we need to go in and put an attribute of source, and we do that by saying src equals and then our quotation marks, and then now we need to put either a file that's on our server, so we need to link to that file in what's called an internal or a relative link, or we need to put in an external link to an image that's on somebody else's server, which we can do as well, and I'll show you that in just a moment. But first I'm going to grab my grab my link here. So this is a link to this image here, which is on CodePen that I uploaded. You can see that my file is about 2,000 pixels, so my screen size here is only 1,000 pixels. So what it does is it renders the entire image, and then it gives you the scroll bars so that you can scroll through it, right? That's not exactly what I wanted. What I wanted was for it to just show up on the page and you could see the whole thing. So we have some other attributes that we can add in here. One is width and one is height. So the width we set equal to, let's say, 400 pixels. And then now it's going to give us a 400 pixel wide image. And so now you can see that it fits perfectly. You could change this to height, and then it would also give you a 400 pixel tall image, and then it automatically will adjust the height because you've set one side. Now you can do both. The problem with this is, well, you'll see. let's say the width, sorry, let's say the width equals 200 pixels. Now the problem here is we're starting to stretch or squash the image, right? So if you make this 1200 pixels, you can see how we've squashed the image, and now HTML will allow you to do this. So this is one of those very powerful things that HTML will allow you to do. So normally if you want to keep the proportions of the image, which you should want to do that, then you would set either width or height. You could see here that now it's 1200 pixels wide, or if we did 800 pixels wide, now you see that it keeps the proportions of the image. It doesn't stretch it horizontally or vertically. So if you're going to use width or height inside of the image tag, I would suggest doing the width or the height, whichever the long side of the image is. I would set that to what you need it to be on the page. So normally I would control the width and height of an image using CSS. It's just a better way to control the size of the image, but it is possible inside of HTML. And let's say there are two other tags that we can use in here. One is called the alt, and alt equals, it's like the it's called alternate text. So if for some reason this picture does not load, or if someone has images turned off, or for accessibility purposes, so if someone is using a browser with a screen reader, in order to be able to see this, they obviously cannot see the visual image. They're having the web page read to them. So if this is here and it's taking up space but it's not telling them what it is, then that becomes a problem. Or if this doesn't load but it's important, then it doesn't communicate all the information that it can or should. So they've added what's called an alternate text, and the alternate text is something that you should put in for every image that you put online. Number one, for accessibility. Number two, because if they should have something reading to them, then it will actually read the alternate text to them and let them know, especially if this is a link or something like that. So we would say, let's say a photograph of mountains and fog. So that's not a highly descriptive title there, but what you're trying to do is, if someone could not see the picture, what is this picture for? Why is it here? What does it look like? Is there something notable about it that someone needs in order to get to the next place, or needs in order to understand what they were reading before? Okay, so this is more for understanding. And then there's another attribute called the title, which I also suggest that you put in. And what the title does is that when the person hovers over, it's this little, you see that popped up? That's the title. So you can see that it corresponds with our title over here. Now this helps the visual user who is coming to the site, and maybe they don't know what it is, or you don't provide a caption, so they can hover over it and they can get more about the title of the picture. So some programs, some things will actually use the title in order to output some information or something like that. This is an attribute that anyone can use that's attached to the image. So let's say this is not true, I don't think, but let's say the Blue Mountains of Peru. And then when we hover over it, you get a sense of what is this place, or what is this thing. Okay, so this is the image attribute, the image tag. There's a source, which you must have. You can add width or height, and if you don't add those things, then it's just going to put whatever size the actual image is. You should always have an alternate text, and then the title text is optional, but a good thing to have as well. Okay, so that's the basic structure of placing an image into a website. An image, if you remember from a previous tutorial in this playlist, an image is what we call a block level element. So it is not inline, so if you put some more text in this, a block level element takes up the entire page. Okay, block level takes up the entire width of the page, and then everything else flows underneath it. So a block level element is like a paragraph tag, a heading tag, an image tag, form tag. I believe, can't remember if an unordered list or a list is a block level element, but I believe that it is. So that just means that it takes up the full width of the screen space. It's 100% width by default. Okay. So let's set the image as a link. So what we do is we need to wrap the image with an anchor tag, which we learned about in a previous video. So we start our anchor tag like this, and then we're just going to say the old standby. Google probably gets a lot of traffic just from people teaching other people about about web design. Let's do the target equals blank, and then inside of this tag, inside of this a anchor tag, we are going to put our image like this. Now in this one we're going to use what's called an external image or an external link for our image. So we'll say the source equals, and then I have an image here of a lake, and what you can do, see, I can see this is at maxpixel.freegreatpicture.com. So that's on their website, and I can use this image if I just copy it and then I paste it into here. Let's just comment this out. Okay, and now you can see, so this image is being served from this website, but we are able to use it because of the hyperlink. Okay, and let's just set a width of 400 pixels on that. Oh, CSS. So 400 pixels. And then now our image is being served from another place. You can see when I roll over it that it becomes a link. You see that? Now the hand comes up. And now let's just look at that out here in the regular browser away from CodePen. Okay, there we go. So now you can see that it's a link, and when I click on it, let's see. I told you before that we always need to have the HTTP with our images. It's very important. Okay, so now we're using an image as a link. So when I click it, it goes to the URL that I set for that image. And the way that you do that, again, is that you wrap the image in an anchor tag. Okay, so you have a container here that's the anchor tag, and then inside of that is the image. Okay, so that is the basics of working with images. There's a whole lot more that you can do with images, especially when you get into CSS. But in general, when you're working with HTML, this is the basic way that you would input an image into a page. And remember, you can do a link to one that's on your own server, or you can do a link to an image that is on someone else's server on the web. Now, best practices as far as using other people's photographs, if you want to, you should reach out and contact them by email. Ask them, I love this picture, I want to use it on my website, can I use it? Or if you have permission from some other way to use someone's photograph or image, then you can do that. do not use images without an author's permission, especially if you're not gonna give the person attribution or tell them, where it says photo credit John Doe or whoever it is. That's a big no-no. That's stealing. That's using someone else's art for your own purposes, especially if you're trying to sell things. It's a really big no-no. So what you can do, where did I find this photo? I found this photo at Google Images, which is at images.google.com. And then let's just go to mountains. And there are lots of beautiful images here. If you go to Tools and you select Usage Rights, you can see here that this is not filtered by license. So this is all of the images that Google has cataloged that have to do with mountains, or they're tagged with mountains. That's also one of the important parts about putting an alternate and title tag, is that when Google goes to catalog your web page, they will actually use those tags, and then they'll tag them with the appropriate keywords inside of your alternate text. So it's really good for search engine optimization and things like that. It's just a really it's a necessary thing to have an alt tag. Just remember that. Some of these allow you to reuse them, and you can modify the picture, so you can put things on top of it, or change it around, or change the colors or whatever. Some are just labeled for reuse, so you can just reuse the picture wherever you want. Some they allow for non-commercial reuse with modifications. So you can't use it for a commercial project, but let's say you have a website where it's informational, or you have a nonprofit where you're not making money or anything like that. Then you can reuse some of these images. And what you do is, when you click on that, then it sorts and filters the images. So now you can use any of these images because they're labeled for reuse. You can use any of these images as they are. And when you click on it, let's see, you're going to allow me here. Now the internet's messing up. Okay, so these are labeled for reuse, and when you look at the image, you can view the image or go to the web page. And when you view the image, you can see up here that you get the link straight to the image, okay? And when you go to the web page, it's a little trickier, but you can find the image on this page here, and you can either right click and do copy image address, which when we copy the image address and then we put it into the URL, you can get the image here, you can see. Or you could follow this link and click here, and then I think it allows you to download the file, or you could actually view it in the browser. So this is Wikipedia, so it gives you some extra options here for that. Wikipedia is a great resource for free images. They have, I think, Wikimedia or something like that. They have their own free image resource. So anytime you're looking through and you see that it's a Wikipedia, you can be safe knowing that you can reuse that image. Okay, so that is how to get images and how to put them into your web page. I hope this is really helpful for you. Images are a big part, so don't be afraid to use images. Just know that the larger the image, the more time it's going to take to download. Be thoughtful, be conscious of both your users, and be thoughtful of the people who are out there creating photographs for you to use in your website. If you're in doubt about whether you can use a photograph or not, or an image or a logo, then contact the person who created it and just ask them if it's okay that you use it. Tell them about your website, what you want to use it for, and why you like it, and they'll probably give you some sort of indication of how, if they need some sort of royalty to use that, or if they'll just let you use it for free. All right, if you have any questions, leave the comments down in the comment section below, and I will see you in the next video.